realize that most seniors don't have long-term care insurance. What they do is most of them rely on Medicaid, not Medicare, Medicaid. The problem with that though is if you go to a long-term care facility under Medicaid, you have to divest yourself of all your finances basically. I think all but maybe $2,000. So that means that most seniors may have to sell their house. They have to, turn over their bank accounts to Social Security to pay for the long-term care. So if you were to go to the Roxborough Rehab Center or down to Cambridge Hills or to the extended care unit at the hospital, most seniors nowadays are going to have to use Medicaid to pay for that. Well, the Senior Tar Heel legislature this year, and I've been pushing this personally because to me it means a lot to me, is to get the state to fund long-term care insurance for qualified individuals. They can't do it for everybody, right? But suppose you're at a certain income level, or if you have extenuating circumstances in your house, or whatever it is, that the state would provide, and we're going to ask for $1 million every year to help pay for those individuals who otherwise would be destitute, basically, because they're going to pay for long-term care. I don't know the exact figures. The last I checked a couple of months ago, average, I think, in North Carolina for care in a long-term facility, whether it's a nursing home, an assisted living facility, things like that, it's upwards of $90,000 a year. Well, most of us can't afford $90,000 a year. Especially if you say, for instance, I'm still making a mortgage payment, and I'd have to, I can't pay mortgage and pay not. So that's why I have long-term care insurance. It is expensive. It ain't cheap. That's why we want to push for this thing from the General Secretary to help fund long-term care for seniors who otherwise can't afford it. That's going to be a new proposal. The resolutions will be discussed in our June meeting of the Senior Tar Heel legislature. We'll talk about all of that, and then we'll finalize it in our October meeting this year. And so I'm hoping, knock on wood, that this resolution is put in there this time. Right now, Person County does not have an alternate to the Senior Tar Heel legislature. That's bad because, I have, and I don't mind doing it. I mean, I've enjoyed going to the legislature, but that means 3 times a year I have to make sure I can set aside time, because normally it lasts for 2 days. You do a half a day in the afternoon, spend the night, and finish up the next morning. So I have to make sure that I can get to where, this year, our June meeting is in Winston-Salem. Given how much it costs to stay at a hotel anymore, fortunately my daughter lives in High Point, and she's a professor at High Point University, by the way. I'm gonna ask her if I can spend the night with her, and that way I can because it's just a 20-minute drive over there from High Point, so I'm gonna do that. We'll be discussing all this at our June meeting to do that. I have to make sure I can get there because I don't have an alternate. What that means is that, remember I talked at the very beginning about this RAC, the Regional Aging Advisory Council, and we have 6 representatives from each county on there? Well, sadly, I'm the only person who's been attending those meetings out of the 6 who represent Person County. So the chances of our getting selecting an alternate from those 6 is pretty remote. and I don't know, Maynell and I have to have some talks about this along with some other folks. It would be great if we can get some of y'all to sign up to be on this Regional Aging Advisory Council. In fact, it's in the newspaper. I don't know, how many of y'all get the local paper, read the newspaper? There's an announcement, I saw it a couple of weeks ago. I didn't notice it last week, that's because I just didn't pay attention. There's an announcement, the county commissioners appoint the delegates to that council, those 6 people. Well, there's an ad in the paper announcing the fact that there are 5 positions open. And so it'd be great if some of y'all would say, okay, when you see that, apply to go to that. That way you can get on the Regional Aging Advisory Council, which happens to meet 4 times a year quarterly. And that way we could maybe select, if you were to do that and attend those meetings regularly, to be the alternate for the Senior Tar Heel legislature. That'd be wonderful if you could make that happen. So look at the newspaper to see, it's along with that, there are several other appointments that the county commission makes for different boards and that. So be on the lookout in the newspaper for that. And I think the deadline to do it is, I don't know, June the 10th or something. It's in June, whatever the date is, I don't know exactly. But anyway, that's the Senior Tar Heel legislature. We are there to represent all the senior citizens in North Carolina before the General Assembly to advocate on your behalf. I would encourage you, if you have any things that you think seniors need to have represented before the General Assembly to get laws passed and all of that, let Maynell know through the Senior Center. She can let me know to do that, to bring before the Senior Tar Heel legislature. What else can I say about it? We meet 3 times a year. Because of the pandemic, we haven't met in person since 2019. We've done everything online, via Zoom. The one that's in June upcoming will be the first time we met in person in 3 years. Let's knock on wood that it's not a COVID event. Seniors are the most vulnerable group, and we're all a bunch of old fogies up there that's meeting all in an enclosed space. So let's hope that we don't catch COVID. Knock on wood, I haven't caught it yet that I know of. You see me wearing my mask. I encourage all seniors to wear your mask, regardless of where you go. Let me think what else I can tell you. I think that's about it. That's it in a nutshell. I'd be glad to answer any questions. Don't be shy. Yes, ma'am.
What are some ways everyday citizens can help out your organization and advocate with y'all?
Good question. There are a couple of ways. One is, when you come to the Senior Center, if you see something or think of something, just let Maynell or the staff know. They can relay it to me. That's one way. Another way is to go to county commission meetings, and if you have concerns, bring it up to the county commission. Because not only do they help the Senior Tar Heel legislature by helping to name appoint the people, but they can provide local funding as well. The other thing is, talk to your delegates in the General Assembly, your senators and representatives. You can talk to them directly. Right now, we've undergone redistricting in North Carolina. Currently, our representative in Raleigh is Larry Yarborough. His email is, I think is yarborough@ncleg.gov, I think. I'm sure Maynell and the staff can look that up. But you
Absolutely.
can talk to him directly, and bring up your concerns. Anything that you do like that, because we as Senior Tar Heel Legislature advocate continuously, anything that you do to enhance our advocacy is good, so that's ways you can do it. But if you have real concerns that you want the Senior Tar Heel Legislature, remember, we have actually some, I won't say we have a lot of power, but we do have a big voice. When you have 100 counties, the whole state of North Carolina talking to the General Assembly, those folks will listen to this. They've been good, thank goodness, they've been good at, taking our resolutions and acting on funding them and that. So, if you have concerns, if there's something that you see that you think seniors need, that the General Assembly needs to pass a law about, or fund or something, just let me know. You can let them know through email. That's how you guys can be involved in what we do. Yes, ma'am.
I was just thinking, I know we have, nice assisted living facilities here in Person County. I'm just wondering, is there anything out there where we could get some type of assistance for seniors who want to stay at home?
Yes, absolutely. Part of what the Senior Tar Heel Legislature does is, the first thing we always tell the General Assembly is, like this money that we're talking about to help fund, these various programs, is our first goal is to keep seniors at home. We always tell them that any funding they provide, and we always have resolutions about this, to help fund seniors at home. So we are trying to do that. It's much cheaper. I don't know what the figures are. I guess the staff can find out. Maynell probably has it. It's much less expensive to keep a person at home than to put that person in a nursing home or an assisted living facility. I'm talking about by probably an order of magnitude, probably. It is much cheaper. But if you have concerns, specific things, pass it on to the staff so they can pass it on to me and I can bring it. If you have particular specific ideas about how to, address a particular question you have, just let me know. But we do advocate first and foremost, let's keep our seniors in their houses.
And that funding that you're talking about, that $1 million funding, that will be paid to whoever comes to the house to take care of you? Or is that?
Right now, as the resolution reads, I don't think so.
So I'm responsible for paying someone to come in and take care of me?
Right now, that long-term care assistance that we're asking the General Assembly to provide, I think is only for residents in a nursing home or assisted living, not at home, as far as I know. But that's a great point, and that's something that I'll make sure that gets aired at our meeting in June, when that resolution comes up for discussion.
And another one of my concerns, thank you for that one, but another one of my concerns, you were saying that, if you have something, a house, for instance, and you have to go to a nursing home or assisted living place, if it's in your name, they can take your house, but what if you don't have anything? What if you don't have a house? Can they reject you? Can they not take you in because you don't have anything?
I don't think so. As far as I understand it, under Medicaid, you basically have no resources. Whether you had a house or not, if you have no resources, then Medicaid somehow, corrals all of that and makes it so you can go stay at the nursing home or whatever.
Okay, and here I go again, so what's the point of having that, insurance that you were saying, that long-term insurance?
Because, the reason being is that we hate for people to have to rely solely on Medicaid to get rid of their house or anything, any assets they have. That way you can avoid having to do that and having to relinquish all your possessions. Your house. That's why you have that extra money.
Chances are, a long-term care facility that you're paying for with long-term care insurance might be a little different than somewhere you might go that's funded only with Medicaid. Because less dollars in the kitty. Also, if you do own a house and you have to go into skilled nursing and you don't have the funds to pay for it, and you have a spouse, they're not gonna take the house right then. The spouse will remain in the house. Once the spouse is deceased or no longer needing the house, then when the house is sold to the heirs, then the state may come in and take that money from that. So one thing you can do, and we talked about this before, is, start spending down, prepay funeral costs. Put property into trust. But remember, if you're gonna apply for Medicaid, there's a 5-year look back. So, plan ahead.
That's why, because most seniors, and we just saw it when we had when people raised their hands here, the vast majority of folks don't have long-term care insurance, so all those things that Maynell just said would come into play. You know, they will look back 5 years to see how much money you had 5 years ago. You know, 5 years ago, you might have been in good health and had a job, for instance. And that's how they're gonna base how much money you spend.
With this money, that say if your loved one is already in a facility and, they have taken everything they have and they have, Medicaid to, you know, take care of that. But yet it's still, in some of these facilities, there's no, you can't have no restriction as far as, you know, putting up something on them to keep them in bed or whatever. Can that, fund thing help to get a private sitter with that person that is in that place to keep her from, or whatever, from hurting themselves? Because you can't restrain, patients and stuff anymore.
Right now, that resolution is not in that level of detail. That would have to be worked out by the General Assembly as to how they want that money to be allocated.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, okay.
And right now, the resolution just says, we wanna ask for $1 million every year for qualified, individuals. However, that money spent would have to be in the details of the law that the General Assembly passes to make that happen.
And as it is right now, Medicare does not pay for that, and Medicaid is not gonna pay for that. That's on the family to private pay someone to stay with someone in a facility, because the facility is already there.
Okay.
But the thing about this particular resolution is the first time it's come up in the Senior Trial Legislature, so we're just starting to think about it. And obviously, because of things like you guys telling me now, we can work on some of the details. Problem is any resolution we say, whether it's up to the General Assembly in Raleigh to decide how they wanna fund it, how the money's gonna be divided up and whatever, who gets it, whatever. You know, we can only recommend it, and it's up to them. That's why we have to continue advocating, once we get these resolutions to them, to say, tell the General Assembly, say, okay, this is what this really means, who it really have.
So this week, I'll have cards out for you to fill out things that you would like to see. As far as aging services in North Carolina, we'll have 2 sets of cards, one for local and one for the state legislature. What Robert is talking about now, you could write, I would like to see all the proposals put forth by the senior Tar Heel legislature folks come to fruition, and if not, why not? You can write those things, because we will be sending those cards to the state legislature as well as local government. So it's great to listen to it, it's great to ask these questions, but if all you're gonna do is mumble among yourselves, you're not doing anything. You have power to advocate. You have power. So when those cards come out Friday, I wanna see everybody filling them out for me.
And when you fill them out, Maynell will make sure that we get it and look at the Senior Trial Legislature, so we can actually come up with a unified resolutions.
Exactly.
You know, from the whole state, to say, these are the folks from Person County, they got some great ideas. Let's see if we can work it into where we get support from the entire state to make that happen. But that's the purpose of the senior radio legislature, to advocate on your behalf. If you have any questions, concerns, you know, you can let Maynell know, she can pass them on to me about what we need to do in North Carolina to support our senior citizens. And it's always not necessarily, it's not just always about health care and all that, it's about other things like making sure you have money to go to the senior games, I guess, or whatever it could be. There's also good aspects to it as opposed to always just worrying about, well, you know, where's my next lunch coming from? So.
And we're very fortunate in Person County that our senior Tar Heel rep is not only repping us, but he's extremely active in the whole thing. He's there, making these points, he's there advocating across the state at all different organizations. He delivers Meals on Wheels every month here. So, we are very fortunate. We don't just have someone that goes to the meetings and comes back. He's a very active force within this committee. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to do it, and I hope to continue to be able to support the rep for the Person County. I've enjoyed it, and I think it's a worthwhile cause. I mean, I'm a senior as well, and so everything I'm talking about is not only for y'all, it's for me too, so.
And did you let them know you're also the chair of the Area Agency on Aging Advisory Committee too? So, yeah, he goes above and beyond. We are so fortunate.
Yeah, remember I talked at the very beginning about the RAC, and that's where the delegates from the senior college come from. I am the chair for representing that group of 5 counties. So that keeps me active as well. It's funny because at those meetings, each meeting of those, they meet 4 times a year. We have counties give their reports, and so I always rely on Maynell to help give me everything that's going on in Person County Senior Center wise, and she's been very gracious to do that, and she gives me a report every week, or every month, every quarter, and I relay that to the group. So she's been very supportive, and I appreciate all the help, urging and nudging she gives me along the way.
And did you also tell them that we need some more representation?
I
Very good. I'm just coming in here pounding what Robert said. What Robert said, yeah!
Yeah, look at, in the newspaper for the announcements from the county commission, looking for the representatives on this,
And I can get you the application. It's very easy to fill out.
It's easy to fill out.
You meet 4 times a year. 4 times a year.
And we have 6 positions, 5 are available. And, you know, one person with me shouldn't be the only person representing the senior citizens of, in Person County. We need a lot more, local people than just me to go up there and tell them what's what. But anyway, that's, unless there are other questions, that's all I have.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Robert.